All right. Hello, 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 hello. For those of you who don't know me, I go by Terrell Indigo, and this is, I guess, what I'll be calling the Indigo Talks podcast. I've started doing this on TikTok, where I would just go on and I would speak my thoughts, and I feel like I can expand on that. So I'm trying something else. I'm trying something new. This is what I'll call Indigo Talks. So, welcome. This is episode 1. I have no idea what I'm doing. Uh, this is a little bit outside my comfort zone, but nonetheless, I am excited. So, um, welcome again. So, before we get started, I just kind of want to make it known what I'm about. I by no means do I want to be perceived as a teacher. I am merely just an individual who is passing my own judgment on the world. I am voicing my opinions and things that I've noticed about humanity. I I'm deeply interested in the world that we share, the people in it, everything around it, and I just like to observe. So, yeah, that's where we are. So, with that said, let's get into the topic for today. So one day I was just sitting down and I randomly got this thought that in life, there is this revolving concept of a buildup and release, a charge and a discharge, essentially. Yeah, yeah. To further give an example, like with our emotions, we could start with our emotions. We have a charge and a release. With sadness, we have this internal stirring feeling that we have inside of ourselves that the energy builds up to the point that it has to be released in the form of crying. Um, with anger, another feeling, this feeling of red rage that's bubbling inside of our veins that that can only be contained for so long before that becomes, like an outburst. Even with happiness, we we may fidget, may get fidgety, we may jump, we may smile a lot, or other bodily movements that we all do when we feel very, very joyous. And that is its release in a way. Um, Screaming like what's the word? Like tears of joy, jumping, all these expressions that we do with our bodies, all all correlate to the same thing. It's just a way for our bodies to release that energy. I'm sure there are other emotions that we tend to express in a different way, but if we stay talking about our bodies, then we can give exercise for an example. Um, if you're a gym athlete, you have a quick burst of energy. You go do your set, and fatigue builds up, and then you have to rest. Fatigue is the build. You release the energy through your set. You go all in, you hit your bench, your fucking pull-ups, whatever, and the fatigue is gonna creep in. If you're doing a more prolonged sport, you have a prolonged session usage of energy, then it's the same principle that's applying. The fatigue will eventually creep up. Your body can't run forever, figuratively and metaphorically. Um, to give another example, like physically, there's hunger. I mean, without getting into the proper science of it, but I think there's something with gases like within your digestive tract that stir up or do something that generate this feeling of hunger, or something along those lines, like where we have this feeling of hunger, and then what happens? A growl. A growl is the release. You know you're getting hungry because of a physical sensation. So you eat, right? And after you eat, that's the build, that's the charge. And then what happens after that? You gotta shit that shit out, and then it's over. That's the release. It's like cause and effect. It's like one and two. Same thing with like burping and farting. Like all these things are the same principle. It's a build. It's a build that leads into a release. I mean, even the same thing applies sexually. I mean, this is the easy one, right? This is a build. It's a sensation that has to lead into a release, a climax. This is something that everybody is familiar with, but not in the sense of how many other things that this applies to. It's like this universal law that governs everything in life and says this is how life is going to operate. It's like a non-negotiable. Even on the mental side, I mean, our brains can only focus on a given task for so long before we need a break. That the build can be stress, no matter how big or how small, how minor or major, that can be stress. And that stress needs to be broken with relaxation. Creatively, I'm an artist and I'm learning that you can't just go all the time as much as I would want to, as much as I want to give in to what society tells us to do. And by drilling into our heads that we need to be workaholics 24/7, sometimes you just can't. Sometimes inspiration dwindles away and you need time to recharge. Sometimes you need to give your body, your mind, and your spirit a break so that you can come back and with new inspiration, with a new fresh with a fresh slate, with a new take on life. Sure, there are disciplines that can be in place, but creativity can't be forced. If you try to sit down and like I'll just talk from my own experience, if I'm trying to write a song and the lyrics are not coming through or the melody's not coming through, sure, I may be stubborn, like I'm a very, 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 very determined person, but sometimes I have to say to myself, "Okay, Terrell, it's time to take a break." And who knows, like, this always happens, whether it's a week, a month, or in the case of some recent songs I've been working on, literal years down the line that I get an idea that works. It's like, "Oh, that wouldn't have happened if I tried to force it at that time." By the way, I am recording using a gaming laptop with these loud ass fans. So if it sounds like there's a 747 in my room taking off, I apologize. And going back to what I was saying, the same thing applies for songs too. I mean, songs have verses and pre-chorus and chorus and another verse and an outro, whatever. But the verse is the journey. The verse is most of the time, the first verse is like your introduction to the world of the song. And whether you have uh, a pre-chorus or not, there's still like a subtle, like slight energy that's there because you expect a chorus, you expect a release. Sometimes artists don't do that, and sometimes they blue ball the shit out of you, You don't get that, but that's because that's an artistic decision, right? To not have to not give you that release, to not give you that satisfaction. Because we know when we enter a song, when we press play, we know the structure. We know what we're looking for. So the song is another example of a build and release. Even with stories too. I mean, most stories follow a idea of introduction, conflict, climax, resolution. There's the concept of acts, act 1, 2, and 3, where we have our introduction and our exploration and all these different things that help further a story. But it's the same principle as well. I mean, here the buildup is all in the journey. It's the characters that you'll meet. It's the world that you'll grow to understand. Is that whole journey that you're going to experience that leads up into the climax, the peak of the story. Then after that has to come the release, the resolution, where all the conflicts that were previously mentioned, that were previously experienced by the world and the characters, there needs to be a resolve after that. So, build and release governs the world of story as well. Now, I might make myself sound like a dumbass by forgetting everything that I learned in my science classes, but um, same principle can be applied to weather as well. With rain, rain being something that I think like the water goes into the clouds, right? Something like that. And then it falls down. Like the water that's gathered in the clouds would be the build. And then that is expressed through rain. Tornadoes. I think tornadoes are like the combination of hot and cold air mixing or something like that. That fusion is a build as well. That's the build. And then what happens after that? The tornado, the expression. That's the release that you get from that. Um, Earthquakes. I think that's something with see, yeah, I forgot everything, but I'm just giving out all these examples. Um, Something with tectonic plate rubbing or something. They doing a little shimmy all together, and then and that generates an earthquake. Um, Everything else, like literally everything else, can be applied to that same thing, from lightning and snow. Everything, it's all a build and release. And this concept, seriously, is all around us. I mean, I'm sure there are examples that could be found in nature, within the animal kingdom, and within just the earth itself. I'm sure there's something that just hasn't come to mind, but I'm pretty sure this can be applied to nearly everything. I mean, cooking, that one I'm not sure of, but hey, whoever is listening to this, I would like to issue you a challenge to find something that introduces the or plays on the concept of a build and release, and comment that, because this is everywhere, and I find it incredibly interesting that there's a unspoken law, essentially, that it's like a thread line of everything in life, because to me that's further indication that everything is energy. Everything is just a a different form of the same thing. I mean, if you even take a look at electricity, we have electronics that literally have batteries that need to be charged. The buildup is the usage of them, and then the release. Well, sorry, it's the other way around. The the release is the usage of the energy that you build through charging that device. Same thing there. But yeah, everything in this world is energy. Humans, trees, fish, freaking guinea pigs. Everything is connected. We're all different expressions of the same thing. I mean, at least that's my own belief. So in my daily life, I try to find the things that prove how alike we really are. And this is what I mean. I feel like I am an individual that has been gifted eyes that see things a little bit differently. And I'm only here to just offer my own unique perspective on this world, just to state the things that I've noticed and ultimately, ultimately to unify. That's my ultimate goal in this world is I want to bring people together. I want to unify the minds. I want to connect people beyond the barriers of the imaginary barriers of what we call as race and religion, creed, everything else. I want to unify humans. I want to unify the beings on this planet. Because at the end of the day, we're all here together. We can play this game of hate, but ultimately we operate out of ignorance of one another. So I just want to do my part in highlighting the things that make us more alike, highlighting the things that prove that we we're all human. We all go through similar experiences. We're all in different bodies. Sure, we all have different thoughts and we all process the world slightly different from one another. But there's only so much that really separates us. The vast majority of our life experience, whether it be physical or external, like external life experience or things that make up our physical makeup, only so much is going to be different. We all breathe air. We all require food and water. We all have brains. We all make the same food, but we call the shit different names. Like, we're all very, very, very similar. So I just want to, I know I'm getting off topic, but I just want to bridge the gap between people. That's all. That's all I truly, truly want in this life. I know I was rambling a little bit, but I want to keep this raw and genuine while still being able to put out the information that I seek to put out. This is not going to be one of those podcasts with a freaking Shure SM7B and this crazy ass audio quality, it's professional ass shit. No, no, this isn't, that's not what I'm here to do. This is just raw, genuine observation. This is more like my own notebook, so to speak, like a journal that I'm just sharing with you all. So, if you made it this far, thank you. If you haven't made it this far, still thank you. I pretty much had no idea what I'm doing. Just had the desire to just speak my mind a little bit. Um, if you're listening and you're like, who the hell is this guy? Like, why why should I even give a shit about what he has to think or whatever? Stay tuned. Stay tuned. I will show people that my mind is different. But even after that, and you're still curious, I do have a short film that I just released, directed by myself. It is a little glimpse of my own personal journey as an individual. So that is on my YouTube right now, on the YouTube channel named after my government name, Terrell DeFreitas. I also released a song accompanying the film named The Way. That is on my music channel, the Terrell Indigo channel. I would highly appreciate if you gave that a listen. But otherwise, just stay tuned with this. I will continue to offer thought, no matter how unique or interesting or boring it may be. I will continue to display the inner workings of my mind. So, I think I'll go ahead and end it here. I'm not sure if I'll stick with the audio only format or if I'll go back to the videos like I had on my TikTok, but let me know what is preferred. So yeah, this has been Indigo Talks with Terrell Indigo. Thank you so much for listening, and yeah, have a good day.